When I was 17, I lived in a small, sleepy town by the sea where everything always felt the same. Each morning I strolled along narrow cobblestone streets lined with old stone houses. The salty breeze from the ocean was a constant companion, always tangling my hair, but I didn't mind. It made the town feel alive, and so did my job at the local bookstore. Sandwiched between a bakery that smelled of fresh bread and a tiny clock repair shop where time seemed to tick slower, the bookstore was my sanctuary. I loved the towering shelves filled with stories, each waiting for someone to lose themselves in its pages. But my life wasn't only about books. Every evening I stepped onto a different kind of stage. I was part of a small theatre group called the Harbour Players. We put on 6 plays a year, and this week was our biggest yet. We were performing The Tempest. Everyone in town had been talking about it, which only made me more nervous. I can't mess this up, I kept thinking. I had practiced my lines until I knew them by heart, but I still felt the weight of everyone's expectations. Then there was Leo. He was a year older than me, studying at the town's small college. I often saw him scribbling away in a leather notebook, always deep in thought. We had spoken a few times, mostly casual hellos whenever we crossed paths. He had this air of quiet confidence, and I knew he wanted to be a writer. "One day, my name is going to be in print," he once told me when we ran into each other at the pier. He wasn't bragging, he just believed it. His Aunt Helena was the editor of the town's newspaper, the Harbour Gazette, and occasionally she gave him writing assignments. One day, Helena called him with a new job. "Leo, darling, would you like to write a review of The Tempest for the paper?" she asked. Leo didn't hesitate. "Of course, Aunt Helena, I'd love to." That night, Leo arrived at the theatre, taking a seat in the front row, with his notebook and pen. From backstage I could see him, and my heart raced. He was ready to write, and I couldn't help but wonder what he'd say about the play, about me. I played the role of Miranda's mother, which was challenging because I had to act much older than I really was. Despite all my rehearsals, standing there on stage with Leo watching made me feel exposed. The play lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the applause was loud and comforting, but a part of me still felt uneasy. I knew Leo's review could shape how people saw our performance, and I wasn't sure I was ready for his opinion. Chapter 2. A stinging review. The next morning, the sky was grey, and a light drizzle pattered against the windows. Typical weather for our town. I headed to the bookstore, my boots leaving damp prints on the wooden floor. As soon as I walked in, I spotted the latest issue of the Harbour Gazette on the counter. My eyes quickly found Leo's name beneath the bold headline. Curiosity gnawed at me, and I picked up the paper. As I read through his review, my heart sank. Samantha Gray brings grace to the role of Miranda's mother. She delivers her lines well and has a natural charm on stage. However, her youth is evident, making it difficult to fully believe in her portrayal of an older character. Despite her dedication, she comes across as a young girl pretending to be someone much older. I felt my face grow hot with embarrassment. Pretending, I thought. Who does Leo think he is? Sure, he could write, but what did he know about acting? I wasn't just upset, I was humiliated. It wasn't easy to play a role like that, and instead of acknowledging my effort, he had dismissed it as if I were playing dress-up. I spent the rest of the day stewing over his words. Every time I tried to focus on work, the review popped back into my head. By the time evening rolled around, I couldn't hold it in any longer. Chapter 3. A Plan in Motion. That evening, I met up with my best friend Clara at our favourite cafe near the harbour. The place was cosy with warm lights and the smell of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. Clara sat across from me, sipping her drink, as I vented about the review. "So what are you going to do?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. I stirred my drink, frustrated. I don't know, I just can't let him get away with writing something like that. Clara grinned mischievously. You could always march right up to him and say, "Hey, thanks for the review, but maybe next time keep your opinions to yourself." I shook my head. No, that's too simple. I need something smarter. Something that shows him I'm more than just a girl playing pretend. Clara leaned in, clearly intrigued. Okay, now I have to know. What are you planning? I smiled, an idea forming in my mind. You'll see soon enough. We spent the rest of the evening talking about everything but the review. But in the back of my mind, my plan was already taking shape. Chapter 4. An Unexpected Encounter. The following evening, I spotted Leo at the cafe. He was sitting in his usual corner, scribbling away in that leather notebook of his. I took a deep breath. This was my moment. I wrapped a sleek black coat around me and pulled a scarf up to partially cover my face. With my heart pounding, I walked over to his table. "Excuse me," I said, trying to sound confident. Leo looked up, startled. "Yes?" "You're Leo, right? The writer?" He nodded cautiously. "That's me. Can I help you?" I smiled politely. "I'm Kate. I work for Spotlight magazine. We're doing a feature on young writers, and your name came up." Leo blinked, clearly surprised. "Me? A feature?" "Yes," I said smoothly. "If you're interested, we could do the interview tomorrow morning." Chapter 5. The Truth Unveiled. The next morning, I watched from a distance as Leo arrived at the cafe. He looked around nervously before taking a seat. Once he was settled, I walked over, pulling down my scarf to reveal my face. Leo's eyes widened in surprise. "Samantha?" I grinned. "Surprise. Still think I'm just a girl pretending." For a second, he didn't say anything. Then he burst out laughing. "Okay, you got me. That was brilliant." I laughed too, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. "Maybe next time think twice before writing something like that." Leo smiled, genuinely impressed. "Deal. And for what it's worth, you really are a great actress." And just like that, what started as a rivalry turned into the beginning of something new. A friendship built on mutual respect and a shared love for storytelling.